Welcome to Border Life. In this week's programme, a big overhaul for Robert Burns' favourite pub as it's transformed into a tourist destination. And a life in the livestock business of the Borders. Jack Clark reveals the secrets of keeping the adrenaline flowing in the auction room.
You'd like to be thinking you could be selling one lot per minute. And if you create the momentum, that can be transmitted to the buyers that are around the ring.
But first to Dumfries and the restoration of a landmark. The Globe Inn was once Robert Burns' favourite watering hole. It's just changed hands and is undergoing a major renovation to try to attract more tourists.
Fair for, you're honest, sonsy face. Great chieftain o' the pudding race. Aboon them all, ye tak your place. Penge, tripe, a theorem. We'll urge ye wordy, o a grace, as lang's my arm.
Words penned by Scotland's national bard, recited in his most cherished of haunts. The Globe Inn in Dumfries is where Robert Burns spent much of his time, drinking, socialising and living up to his reputation as a bit of a ladies' man. His house, as it's often called, can be found tucked away from Dumfries High Street, up a narrow wind. But there's nobody enjoying a tipple today, because the whole pub is closed for a major renovation. David Thomson and his wife Teresa have bought the historic building and have big plans for its future.
The Burns rooms at the Globe are hugely important. We're having them curated right now, and I want to make it so that people can come in here and understand the role that the Globe Inn played in Robert Burns' life and vice versa, because this was huge for Burns. I mean, he spent probably much too much time here. And I want them to be able to, really take them back to how it would have been. People from Dumfries, from Scotland, from all around the world to be able to come here. And I hope that'll improve, if you like, Dumfries' profile as a tourist destination, because there is so much of Burns here as well. We've got his mausoleum, we've got his house, his Ellisland farm, and so forth. And I want it all to try and come together in a more cohesively.
The pub dates back to 1610. But is most famous for its association with Burns during the 18th century, when he worked here as a tax collector.
So Robert Burns called this his house, which was a meeting place, and he actually wrote a letter saying that he had many a merry squeeze in this building. So he would come and visit here, he'd drink in here, but he also stayed overnight in the Globe Inn.
The team is renovating the 4 main Burns rooms, so the public can enjoy some of the artefacts which still reside here.
So one of the most important things is the Burns chair. So even from our visitor books that go back to 1871, people reference sitting in the chair. So originally it was that you had to pay the company treat, which was obviously buying a round. Eventually it became that if you sat in the chair, you had to recite a poem, and if you couldn't, then you had to buy a round for everybody. So that's really one of our most important things, and people really wanted to be able to sit in his chair.
I bet there's been an awful lot of people over the years who've come in and sat on that chair only to find themselves with a huge barbell.
Presumably, yeah. Presumably people sat in it accidentally, didn't realise which chair they'd sat in. Over the years, people did actually write their own names on the chair as well as writing in the visitor book, so there's an awful lot of history there with it.
In Burns' bedroom, original etchings of his poems can still be seen in the windows.
So we did quite a lot of etchings. Sometimes they're a bit naughty poems. So we had 3 upstairs which were removed in the 1830s and sold. So they're actually the originals at the Birthplace Museum now. But thankfully we do have 2 that are original poems that are still in situ. And one is about Polly Stewart and the other is a version of Coming Through the Rye as well. He uses the word grain instead of rye. He's talking about drinking, really, and obviously this was a place, when he said about this was a place where he had lots of merry squeezes. I think obviously he met Anna Park here. He ended up having a baby with her only a few days between his own wife having a baby with him as well. So I think lots of things went on here.
The owners are investing £300,000 in this project, with the hope of making it a must-visit place for Burns enthusiasts and locals.
There's some lovely, lovely old features that have been covered up and hidden, and we're revealing them as well. So, for example, down here, there's beautiful wooden panelling. We're just working out how best to restore that. And that was covered with wallpaper and other sorts of forms of panelling. So we've taken that away, and it should look very good when it's finished. But as far as we're concerned, our absolute belief is that this is the Globe Inn. It is a pub where people from Dumfries have always consumed, and I want them to do exactly the same, but we're going to have a restaurant that's associated with it as well, and hopefully make some really decent food. We've got a superb chef, so make some really decent food, and people from all walks of life, I want them to come.
And the renovation has thrown up the odd surprise.
We have here an old brogue, looks like a male shoe for sure, and this perhaps is a bit narrower and looks like a female shoe. And when we had to do some work behind the panelling in the bar area of the Globe, and these literally tumbled out, and we were very curious at first to know why they were there. But the reason is that, apparently anyway, that they were put behind the panelling at the time when it was built, or the time the panelling was put on, for good luck. They're good luck charms, really. So these are going to go back behind the panelling where they came from, but we're going to try and add to them as well. So somebody else relevant from this era, not myself, but somebody else relevant to this era, we're going to try and get a shoe from them and put it behind as well. And maybe put a wee note in it to say what it's all about. It's a bit of a time capsule, really.
Straight line. Unless you put it at an angle.
No, we need the screen here because Vari's going to have her.
There is pressure insofar as I do feel that quite a lot of eyes are on us, both the Burnsians and the local people of Dumfries who don't want us to mess up one of their pubs, you know. So I've got they've got two things watching over us. But we've already done a huge restoration down at Annandale Distillery, and people seem to like that. So I think we can do something similar here and make sure that it's what people really expect and want.
David hopes the pub might inspire more people to study and share the work of Burns, like 16-year-old Troy Barber.
Then up I gat, and swore an oath, though I should pawn my plew and graith, or diaca Jeff Powney's death, at some dyke back. Well, I've always been reciting Burns since a young age, but I just found I liked his work and a lot of his stories that he tells, and I like telling people and like their reactions. It just makes me want to do it more. Robert Burns is one of our national bard, and I think it's great that we're keeping things like this for people to come and see and actually be involved and do stuff in here.
The new Burns rooms are due to open in January, just in time for the Bard's birthday.